At first, no one thought much of it. Just a simple video, 32 seconds, posted late at night. No hashtags, no caption, no flashy edits. Just an S standing in her kitchen, hair pulled back, a quiet smile on her face. She looked softer than usual, not her usual playful self, but not sad either. More. Still, she looked into the camera and said, "If you're watching this, thank you. Not for the likes or the views. Just thank you for letting me be myself, for letting me be loud, for letting me be too much. Sometimes I hope I made you smile. That's all I ever really wanted." Then she gave a tiny wave. Not her big, exaggerated wave like on TV. Just a small one, and the screen faded to black dot. No one knew it then, but that was Anne Burrell's last message to the world. Less than 24 hours later, she was gone. When fans saw the post the next morning, many didn't even realize what it was. They thought maybe it was a teaser, or a warm-up for a new series. Some scrolled past it completely, but later that evening, when news of her sudden passing broke, that video hit everyone differently. People rushed back to it, and what they saw made their hearts drop. Because it wasn't just a message, it was a goodbye. A quiet, gentle, deeply personal farewell, disguised as a thank you. And once you knew that, every second of it felt heavier. The way she smiled, but not with her eyes. The pause before her last sentence, that tiny wave at the end. One fan wrote, "I watched it 3 times before I realized I was crying." It wasn't just a post, it was her final gift. The video, originally posted to a private account and used just for close followers and longtime fans, was never meant to go viral, but within hours of the news, it spread everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, even Facebook groups full of people who had cooked her recipes years ago, people who hadn't watched her in a long time, suddenly found themselves replaying that clip over and over because it didn't feel like a performance. It felt real, raw. Final, the comment section filled up fast. The first one that stood out said, "I didn't know this would be the last time I saw her face." Another, "She wasn't just talking to the fans, she was talking to all of us, like she knew." And maybe she did. No one's confirmed what Anne was going through in those final days. There's no official statement, no press release full of details, but the people who knew her best say that for weeks she'd been more reflective, less chaotic in the kitchen, more focused on small things, sunsets, handwritten notes, her dog falling asleep beside her. She'd even stopped filming. Mid-season on a new project, no scandal, no fight, she just walked away. "I need a break," she reportedly told a friend. "I want to feel normal again." But what did normal mean to someone like an Illumin, who spent her life making the world feel bigger, louder, more colorful? Maybe for her, normal meant being quiet. Just for a moment, a fan from Milwaukee named Carla posted something that took off immediately. She wrote, "I used to watch Anne when my mom was going through chemo. It was the only time she laughed. I showed her this video today and she broke down. She said she knew. You can hear it in her voice. We both sat in silence after." That message struck a chord with thousands of people because they realized they'd felt it too, that this wasn't just a goodbye to fame. It felt like a goodbye to the people who carried her through every season, every episode, every high and low. And what made it even harder, the fact that Anne didn't say goodbye with drama. She didn't cry, she didn't rant, she didn't make it about pain, she made it about love, gratitude. She used her final message to say, "Thank you for letting me be too much sometimes." That line broke people, because so many of us spend our lives shrinking, trying to be less, quieter, easier to digest. Anne was the opposite. She was big, bold, loud, messy. And in that 32-second clip, she thanked us for letting her exist that way. It was simple, and it was devastating. There's a clip from a 2019 interview that resurfaced after her passing. Anne's laughing with the host, and then suddenly turns serious. She says, "When I die, I hope people don't just say, I was funny or wild or good. On camera, I hope they say I made them feel braver." That moment now hits like a prophecy, because that's exactly what people have been saying. "You made me feel brave in the kitchen. You made me feel like I could be myself. You made me laugh on days I didn't even want to get out of bed." She didn't just cook food, she fed people's spirits. And that final video, it was the last course in a meal we didn't know was ending. A fan named Jordan shared a story that spread like wildfire. He said he'd once sent Anne a message years ago, just a random DM. He'd written, "I burned my mom's birthday dinner trying to follow your chicken marsala recipe. It was a disaster, but the best disaster we ever had." He never expected a reply, but 3 days later, she did. Anne messaged, "That's the spirit, babe. Burned love is still love. Try Agnond, save me a plate." Jordan said he never forgot that. He printed that message and kept it on his fridge. Days she passed, he posted a photo of that printed out DM. Next to it, a new note that simply read, "Thank you for the love. You'll always have a seat at my table." The heartbreak people are feeling. It's not about losing a celebrity. It's about losing someone who made them feel okay being exactly who they are. Anne wasn't polished. She wasn't afraid to be. Messy, sweaty, loud, unfiltered. And in a world that constantly tells us to be smaller, quieter, more like everyone else, Anne was a permission slip to just be real. Her final message didn't beg for attention. It didn't try to be perfect. It just was. And that's why it broke people. Because it reminded us how powerful the small things are. A wave, a thank you, a smile that hides 100 unspoken thoughts. The days after Anne's passing felt strange. Not just because she was gone, but because it felt like we had missed something important while it was happening. Her final message was right there, posted quietly, no explanation. And yet, somehow, it said everything. That 32-second clip became something sacred. People saved it to their phones. They reposted it with captions like, "I didn't realize this would be her goodbye. I keep watching this like she's still here. Why does it feel like she was saying goodbye to me?" One fan, Maria, said she'd had a terrible week. Work stress, family arguments. She saw Anne's video on her lunch break and almost scrolled past it. But she didn't. "I don't know why I clicked it," Maria wrote, "but when I heard her say thank you for letting me be too much, something cracked inside me. I've been told that my whole life, too much." But when Anne said it, it didn't sound like shame. It sounded like pride. She ended her post with one sentence that stuck with thousands of people. "Anne made me feel like I was never too much, just hadn't found the right kitchen yet." In the days that followed, something beautiful began to happen. People started sharing videos of their own. Not flashy tributes, not fan edits, just simple, raw messages. From their kitchens, from their cars, from wherever they felt most like themselves, they spoke directly to Anne, as if she might still hear them. "You helped me fall in love with cooking again. You were my Friday night when I had no one else. You reminded me it's okay to take up space." Some people lit candles. Others cooked her favorite meals. One fan even baked the dish Anne was most known for and left it at a community food fridge with a note that read, "This is from Anne. She would have fed you, too." It was like the world was holding a quiet, collective memorial. Not organized, not planned, just felt. There was one video that truly shattered everyone. It came from a young woman named Lexi. Lexi had met Anne once briefly at a book signing years ago, but in her video, she shared something deeper. She said Anne saved her life. "I was in a really dark place a few years ago," Lexi said, holding back tears. "I was going through depression, didn't talk to anyone. One night, I was home alone, scrolling YouTube, and Anne's cooking show popped up. She kept watching. I didn't laugh at first, I just watched. And then she said something like, 'When life kicks your butt, kick it back with chili oil.' And for some reason, I laughed. I really laughed. That was the first time in weeks." Lexi ended her video with the words, "She didn't know it, but she reminded me I was still here. And now that she's gone, I hope she knew she mattered." That clip went viral because Lexi wasn't alone. So many people had stories. Just like that, we often think of celebrity as something far away, untouchable, unreachable. But Anne wasn't like that. She responded to DMIs. She gave shout-outs to random fans in her live streams. She reposted photos of people cooking her recipes, no matter how messy they looked. And that kindness, that authenticity, that's what people felt when they watched her final message. It wasn't just the end of her journey. It was the continuation of ours. There's a moment in the video right around the 16-second mark where she pauses. It's less than a second. She blinks, looks slightly away from the camera. Then she looks back and says, "I hope I made you smile." It's such a small moment, but fans noticed. Some say that was the second, and almost said more, but chose not to. Others believe that blink said everything. The heaviness behind her smile, the love, the quiet knowing that this was her last message, and she was making peace with it. A fan commented, "She didn't need to say goodbye. She said, thank you." That's even more powerful. After the video spread, some people reached out to Anne's friends and family. They asked, was this planned? Was Anne sick? Was there something we didn't know? But the answer was simple and heartbreaking. Anne had been tired. Tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. Tired of always performing. Tired of always being on. A close friend said she'd been feeling something for a while, a kind of ache, but she didn't want to burden anyone. She kept saying she just needed some quiet. So maybe that message wasn't scripted. Maybe it wasn't planned. Maybe Anne just needed to say it too. Let it out. And maybe she knew it would be her last. Or maybe she didn't. Either way, the words she left behind felt like closure. Not just for her, for all of us. People began saving the video, downloading it, sending it to friends and family like a blessing. Some began their mornings watching it. Others played it before cooking dinner, as if Anne was there with them, just like she always was, and it became a kind of ritual. Not because it made them feel better, but because it made them feel connected to Anne, to each other, to something bigger than a cooking show or a viral moment. It made them feel human. One man shared this on a fan page. "I don't cry often, but I cried watching that clip. Not because she was gone, because she left with love." Another said her last words weren't about herself, they were about us. That's the part that broke me. This wasn't how anyone expected to say goodbye. No headlines, no goodbye tours, no farewell episode, just 32 seconds, a small wave, and a thank you. But somehow, it was enough. Because the truth is, Anne had already said everything she needed to say through the years, through the food, through the laughter. That last message wasn't the beginning of her goodbye. It was the end of a lifetime of hellos, and that's what people will remember. Not how she left, but how she lived in the days that followed. Something began to shift. People didn't just grieve Anne, they started celebrating her. Not with loud declarations or magazine tributes, but in the quiet ways that matter most. In kitchens, in memories, in the soft sound of onions sizzling while someone whispers to themselves, "Okay, Anne, I know I'm not doing it right, but I'm trying." A woman named Leah from Vermont shared something deeply touching. She posted a photo of her and her daughter baking cookies together. On the counter beside them was an old dog-eared cookbook, Anne's first one. The caption said, "I used to cook these cookies with my mom. She used to say, 'This is our Anne Burrell day.' Now she's gone, but today I got to say the same words to my daughter." That's what Anne gave us. Moments that stretch across generations. Thousands of people left hearts under that post. Because so many knew that feeling, the way Anne quietly became part of family traditions. How she brought warmth to Sunday dinners and comfort to rainy Tuesday nights. She wasn't just teaching recipes, she was teaching connection in the middle of all the grief. Something beautiful was born. The Too Much Project. It started as a joke in the comment section of her last video. Someone said, "We should all wear shirts that say too much," in her honor, and within days, they did. Fans around the world started making homemade shirts, tote bags, aprons, anything with the words, "too much," just like Anne taught me. It wasn't about being loud for attention, it was about reclaiming the parts of ourselves we were told to hide, and suddenly, it wasn't just mourning, it was movement. People writing posts about how they danced in their kitchen again, tried a new recipe, stood up for themselves at work, wore bold lipstick, did something fearless, because that's what Anne would have done. One girl even wrote, "I stopped apologizing every 5 minutes today. I burned dinner, laughed, poured wine, and said Anne would be proud." And I think she would. One of the most touching moments came during a local cooking class in New York, held just days after Anne's passing. The instructor, a young woman named Bree, stood silently for a moment before class began. Then she said, "Before we start, I want to share something. I became a chef because of one woman. Her name was Anne Burrell. And everything I know about cooking, with joy, with confidence, with heart, I learned from her. So today, we cook for Anne. No one clapped. No one cheered. They just nodded. And then they started chopping, seasoning, laughing, like Anne was right there beside them, because in a way, she was. Even Anne's closest friends began sharing stories they'd never told before. Not the glamorous ones, the quiet ones. Her hairstylist, who'd worked with her for 10 years, said, "She once showed up to my birthday dinner with a cake she made herself. I asked why she went through the trouble, and she said, because if I don't show up for my people, then what's the point of all this?" Another friend said, Anne would randomly send you voicemails yelling, "Get up, you beautiful human," especially if you were having a bad week. Those were the things that didn't make headlines, but they made an unforgettable. And then came the letter. It arrived days after Anne's passing, a handwritten note she had mailed. Just before she died, it wasn't addressed to a celebrity, or a studio, or a network. It was sent to a 13-year-old girl named Mia in Florida. Mia had written in a letter months earlier, saying she wanted to be a chef, but kept getting made fun of for being too loud. Anne had replied. Her letter, written in big, looping handwriting, said, "Dear Mia, never let anyone dim your shine. You be loud, you be proud, you be full of flavor, just like good food is supposed to be. Remember, people who say you're too much are just used to too little. Keep cooking, baby girl. You're going to change the world." Mia's mom shared that letter online, and once again, the internet broke. Because this wasn't just a goodbye, it was a legacy. A torch passed forward. A reminder that Anne didn't just inspire chefs. She inspired bravery in the quiet corners of fan forums. The phrase kept coming up. She said, "Thank you. Not I'm tired, not I'm done. Not goodbye, just thank you." It's the kind of message that feels simple at first until you realize how rare it is in a world that often rushes past connection. Anne paused. She looked into a camera, and with all the love in her loud golden heart, she said, "Thank you for the laughter, for the recipes, for letting her be herself." And she meant it. So maybe that's what made her final message so powerful. Not that it was perfect, not that it was polished, but because it was real, honest human, and in just 32 seconds, she gave her fans a goodbye they'll carry for the rest of their lives. So tonight, if you're listening to this, maybe take a moment, make something simple. Call someone you love, turn on your favorite Anne episode, or just sit in silence and remember what it felt like to laugh with her. And if you're feeling brave, say thank you to someone who helped. You feel like you could be too much, because Anne taught us that too much is beautiful, that messy is human, that love doesn't have to be loud, but it should be real, from the Gossip Bucket family to yours. Thank you for being here, thank you for remembering Anne with us, and thank you for letting us share the stories that matter. Not just the headlines, but the hearts behind them. And if you're listening, you made us smile, you made us braver, you made us feel like we belonged, and we will never, ever forget you.